Big Red Junkies.
Day by day, he gets better and better. We get better and better. Team championship. Oh, man, woman, and child, he just turned this stadium inside out.
Now, that was a spring game.
Yeah, emphasis on game. It was actually a game.
It was a game, and it was legit. Like, it looked good.
It had
I mean,
moments.
it looked like a game is what I mean.
Yeah.
There were a lot of other. There's been a lot of other schools, and there will be a lot more schools this weekend that will do their spring game, but it's 1 versus 2s, and that was one of the most refreshing things.
Are there still more coming up this next weekend?
I thought there was like a whole bunch of them still. Like Ohio State still has to play theirs.
No, they did theirs.
Oh, maybe I missed. I guess I messed up on that, but
We got to be towards the end. I mean, obviously, but I don't know how many more are being played this next weekend.
for some reason I thought there was some going on this weekend. But yeah, man, I watched some of Colorado's. I watched a good majority of what Minnesota did, which was basically just an indoor practice.
Yeah.
With basically 300 parents in there, 300 to 400 parents standing around the practice field. I mean, it is what it is. Like if they don't have the capabilities to get, fans in the stands for a spring game, I get that, but I was kind of surprised to see that, especially coming off a 9-win season. But
it sounded like they kind of made the decision the night before.
Just shitty weather or what?
I guess. I don't
Whatever.
know. No, just a bunch of fucking pussies.
It was 30 degrees, blowing snow, and they completely jam-packed the stadium in Colorado.
Yeah.
And those fans were there the whole time, unlike our fans. But it is what it is. It was cold and shitty outside.
So what, we had 66,000 people in there. That's all that anybody's going to give a shit about.
True.
We had the third most attended spring game in the country.
It was nice.
That's all that anybody's going to care about. It's not about what the stadium looked like at the end of the game.
The part that I cared about, the only reason I cared about that was for the recruits that were in town for the spring game, watching the Nebraska fans all be basically gone by the middle of the third quarter.
Hell, a lot of those recruits might have been gone by then, too.
Maybe.
Doing other stuff around the campus and whatever else.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. Either way, I liked what I saw on Saturday. I tweeted it out, and I sent it to you guys. I sent it to a couple other friends. I said, grade out-wise, I thought the defense looked awesome. I gave it an A-. I gave the offense a D-, I think, or D. I thought the offense looked terrible. Don't know if it was because the defense was playing so well, but the defense, it's very clear to me that there are more than 11 guys that could be starting on that defense. Like, we have a plethora of dudes.
It'd be great if we could have more than 11 guys starting on defense. That would help us out a lot, I think. It would really script the 3-3-5 transition.
But we're going to go with the 4-4-9. How about that?
Love it.
See if they score on us now. No, I thought the defense was, they were doing exactly what White has said they were going to do, which is fly to the ball, cause chaos and confusion. And it looked very much like they were doing that.
I will say it helped the way the defensive line looked, whether it was the actual defensive linemen or the outside guys, the edge guys or whatever else. It helped soften my concerns. They're not gone, but soften my concerns about the defensive line going into the season, because the rotation clearly looks like it could be better. It's still going to be heavily reliant on young guys. But
it was also really easy to see. He doesn't care what position you're playing if you're up on the line.
No.
It doesn't matter if you're a big dude. You might be on the outside, and there might be a small guy on the inside.
It's because both of those sets of three could be up on the line at any point in time.
It was
they had different sets where they had all 6 guys up on the line.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So, and you didn't know who was coming and who wasn't.
And they were running great stints, and it was different every single play. They looked like they actually knew what the fuck they were doing.
They did. They did. And it was fun to see. And you're going to ask some questions. You want to ask a question later about individual performances.
And also, think about the way we saw not just the defensive line, but also the linebackers play. And then you add in a Ty Robinson, a Luke Reimer, a Nick Henrich.
Yep.
The experience of those guys in with what we were able to see, the rotation and the quality of play that we saw on Saturday.
That's what I mean by more than 11 dudes that could be starting.
Yeah.
And we didn't even just see that from the first team. The second team defense, those guys were making plays. Mm-hmm. One of the biggest differences I saw.
Your guy Win on that second defense was actually making plays.
Yeah, he was making some plays. What's his name? Goddamn. I'm pretty sure he's that South Dakota kid. He was no, that's not who I'm thinking of. Gunner, I want to say.
Well, there was an offensive lineman.
He's a freshman, true freshman coming in.
Tula was the offensive lineman.
No, I'm talking about
Blaze
defense.
Gunnarsson?
Yes, there you go.
He's not a true freshman, but
I thought he was.
No, he was on the team last year.
Oh, my bad. Well, he made a couple different plays coming off the edge that I was like, whoa, that guy's got some serious speed. Like, Jeff Sims couldn't run away from him plays.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I mean, you look at what Prince Will did, I was like, whoa, for a true freshman coming in, being as disruptive as he was, and I truly don't think
it wasn't just his mom that was yelling. I was yelling too.
Yeah.
But boy, was your mama yelling.
The way that I watched just the line play, I did think the offense played a little more cohesively than we saw it all last year, especially the inside three. On the first team,
I thought sure got a lot of reps.
Both the guards, and wow, my brain is farting.
But even then, they moved
names
guys around because, like, again, Newelli was playing tackle towards the end of the game.
Yeah, well, I think that was
some of that was necessity because those two injuries.
Two tackles go down.
Yeah, they both came back at some point. Hood and Cochran did come back in the game, but still, they were limited. But only having 11 or 12 offensive linemen to start the whole thing.
Yep.
They said we started with 13. That's what they said we started with.
I thought I had heard 11.
Granted, how many actually played, I don't know.
Yeah. I didn't think that the offensive line played. I know you guys disagree with me, but I didn't think that the offensive line played all that bad considering the situation that they were in. I mean,
That's actually what I was just about to say.
You got the rotation that they had. You got guys that aren't used to playing next to other guys. There were holes. Now, they got plugged up really fast because the defense was closing quickly.
But the surges that I saw from, especially in the first half when Ben Scott with Newelli and I don't remember who was, Piper was playing left guard. Those three dudes were moving together really, really well and clearing space.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I don't know if that was part of the scheme was to let them clear space because they got some gaping holes in there, and it didn't matter because 3 yards later, there was some dude smoking the running back.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's a scheme thing or what, but it looked like, damn, that's a big hole. And it was gone in a matter of a second.
Well, and even the majority of times that it looked like Benhart got worked, it was actually the tight end that was lined up next to him that didn't block anybody. I mean, again, I'm not trying to say Bryce Benhart played a great game or, because nobody really did on the offense because I think the offense didn't look good at all.
I mean, but I'm not going to dog him for every play, but I counted 3 or 4 different times where Benhart came off the line to block somebody, and then it's like, oh, where's my guy?
Like I said,
and he just didn't hit anybody.
I'm not absolving him.
That happened 3 or 4 different times.
He still looks slow and weak.
Because I don't know
about lost, but slow and weak.
I did not watch the game until after you guys sent me your thoughts, and so that was one of the things that I was obviously wanted to look at when I watched it on Sunday. And like Borkacher, who is a good receiving tight end, but yikes if we're going to rely on him on blocking, and especially
I said, Fedoni didn't even get in until the second series of the first team.
Yeah,
and he didn't hardly play.
No, he did not. He wasn't even actually supposed to play.
I don't know if, and you told us that during the middle of the game. Yeah. I didn't know that. I don't know if, what's his name? Not Anthony Grant, the tight end from Georgia.
Oh, Eric Gilbert.
I don't know if maybe his hands are what's been keeping him off the field. Because that dude got hit square in the numbers 2 different times, and the ball just bounced away.
Yep.
It was like, you're looking right at the ball. Mm-hmm. What the fuck are you not catching that for, man? Mm-hmm. You look like a offensive tackle out there running routes, and you're fast.
Didn't they credit him for 3 drops on the day?
I think he only got it.
I only saw 2, and it was only 2 targets.
Yeah,
he wasn't in the game a ton, but he was working with the second team, and he was. It was baffling to me to watch the two that he dropped. One of them was a soft throw, hit him straight in the chest, and just bounced away.
Yeah.
Weird. It almost just looked like a delayed reaction, like, oh, ball. And it was gone.
Meanwhile, Billy Kemp didn't look like he could miss a ball.
No, that dude's got some hands.
He looked great.
He's going to be the possession guy, but seeing what we saw specifically on offense, when you only have 2 offensive touchdowns and both of them are in short field,
Yep.
Can we close out drives? Can we sustain drives enough to get in the end zone? Long drives.
I also want to know if we're going to find a way to actually stretch the field.
That was going to be my next thing. Who's our big play guy?
Yeah.
And not just wide receiver, but even, our running backs looked good, at least okay. I like the fact that we have 4 guys that I think we could really rely on if needed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
They were not getting room to run the ball.
are
That's
any
for
of
sure.
them are any of them really game breakers? I don't know. Like,
That there were too many other questions outside of the running backs for me.
Yeah.
Specifically the offensive line not being able to get things done.
wide receiver just as a whole.
Yeah.
Cool.
And so-
Billy Kemp can catch the ball. Marcus Washington's a good receiver, but then who?
Exactly.
Well,
and so that's why
it sounded like Xavier Betts got hurt in the beginning of the game or in practice the day before.
He
One
was
or the
in
other.
there towards the end of the game.
Well, one way or the other, from what I understood in Rule's press conference, he mentioned that, he tweaked an ankle. He's usually the guy that can take the top
He
off
wasn't
the
in
defense.
towards the end because he did get his bell rung when he got tackled and his head whipped back and hit the ground, and they had to take him off. He was woozy. So
Yeah,
no,
no,
he
I remember
wasn't
that,
in
but
towards the end of the
I
game.
thought he got an ankle tweaked as well. It doesn't matter. Either way, he made it sound like he's kind of our speed blaze guy that can take the top off the defense, and that's part of why we didn't take any of those shots. But I also didn't see
Well, he definitely has the speed, but
they didn't have the time. They didn't have the time for anybody to be looking downfield on that.
Yeah.
The one play that they called, it was funny because the announcers on TV, what's his name?
Putney and Searles.
Yeah, Jeremiah Searles. He goes. If I'm Nebraska, this is what I'm calling. I'm coming out here. It's short field. Just got a turnover. I'm taking a shot, and they did. They called the shot, and he had to dump it down because he didn't have time. Nobody could get open. But is that a product of the defense being that much further ahead of the offense right now?
Yep.
Or are we just lacking talent on the offensive side of the ball?
Yeah.
also they were getting more reps. The offensive line was getting more reps individually
Yes.
just because they didn't have that many guys.
yes.
For sure.
So second half of the day, they were kind of sucking wind a little bit that you're not going to see near as much.
That's one of the other reasons why I'm not completely crushing the
Right.
offensive line because
Outside of just looking lost because you don't know who you're supposed to block.
But focusing on the defense, let's go through it. We've kind of jumped all over the
we
fucking
did.
place here.
That's okay.
You have stuff
we
set
got
up.
a little excited.
You have stuff
Sorry.
set up, Jed. Why don't you take us through it?
Well, no, I mean, it was just things that I saw on defense. Well, couple of things that I forgot to mention this from the scrimmage that I saw 2 weeks ago now. Tommy Hill, the defensive back from last year who moved to wide receiver for the Rutgers game and then to the Fresno, he's out. He's apparently back at defensive back now. They move in Hartzog to safety, Kane Williams to linebacker. But the fact that we had, and again, we can say that this is on the offensive line or just as the team as a whole on the offense, 18 tackles for loss total.
I felt like I saw
Okay.
more. I felt like I saw more time with dudes, more plays with dudes in the backfield in that one spring game than I saw the entire freaking season last year.
And again, as a
agree with that.
team,
And then we thought we had a pretty damn good edge rush last year.
yeah. Well, I don't know about it. Pretty damn good.
Well, we got one guy who thinks he's going to go get drafted.
Well, he's not. So
I agree with that.
on defense,
I don't know if he would be starting right now over the guys that we have
Yeah, he
sitting
would.
there.
Yeah, he would. As a defense, we only allowed 27% on third down. I mean, and again, that's both first
Started the
and
game
second.
one for 7 between the first and the second team. I remember seeing that stat during the game.
And then going to the secondary, we had 9 pass breakups.
Wow,
Like,
that's solid. Those
Yeah.
are good numbers.
yeah,
Those are good numbers, and I don't care. We looked like maybe we were playing. Like our offense kind of looked like playing Rutgers last year. Our offense looked kind of actually a little bit better than playing Iowa last year. I mean, that's going to look pretty good on defense right there.
yeah, I'll take that on defense. And again, especially with you bring in Ty Robinson, Luke Reimer, Nick Henrich. You add that type of experience to this youth movement that apparently is happening specifically on defense. I mean, maybe not this year, but for the future, looks really good.
Dude,
The
and Rule
potential
was
looks
asked
really
about
good.
it. Rule was asked about a couple of those true freshmen that were starting on the first team. He's like, yeah, there's no reason not to play them. They're ready to go. They're taking that spot. There's no reason not to play them. I love that.
And
He's a freshman. He's got to wait his turn. There's people
Put
that are
your
putting in their
best
time.
11 dudes on the field.
Exactly. How many times did Jed say that over the last 2 years?
Yep.
Get your best guys on the field.
And of course, I have to say his name because he's a dude, MJ Sherman. Like, not just what he did in the game, but, and I know you're going to love this, that what he said, that his post-game press conference was one of the best I've ever seen. Just the smile on his face.
You already brought it up, so we have to talk about it. This is the player that I think is...
No, that's not my question yet. No, we're just talking defense right now.
But you're bringing him up.
No, because
We're just going to not talk about a player for the whole podcast
Yes.
so he asks you a specific question?
I was specifically waiting. We've been excited about all this stuff. No, I mean, that dude, as you called him last week,
fine.
you said...
I'll ask the question.
Yeah.
This is the question.
Jesus, you impatient bastard.
What newcomer, transfer or freshman, whether they're on the team right now or still incoming freshmen, do you think will and or has to have the biggest impact for the team?
MJ Sherman.
Do you think he will or has to?
I think
Or both?
I don't know that he has to.
Okay.
Actually, I will answer this two parts. I think he will probably have, based on what we saw on Saturday. Holy shit! Mm-hmm. He didn't just look like, oh, we've got a good edge rusher now. This is like this guy from a on the field look fits the mold of a dude going straight into the NFL. Like, no, do not pass go, do not collect $200. You can go straight to the finish line. That's what he looked like on Saturday. And then he got on the podium. And I was, first of all, to look at him in
See
a
his
cutoff.
shoulders?
Jesus Christ. Like, I know that it was weird placement, but the Adidas logo was by his ear, and it was not an earring. Like, holy shit, is he a humongous dude, first of all. But second of all, he opens his mouth, and it's just like, it's like a completely different sounding, different looking version of Rule talking. Mm-hmm. And that's what I've noticed about any of these dudes that he's brought in. And the guys, like pretty much anybody that he's putting on the podium right now sounds like him. Mm-hmm. Whether it's a coach or whether it's a current or a former player or whether it's one of the new guys. The people he's putting out there, the people he's putting in leadership positions share the same ideals as him. They walk and talk the same way as him. It's one of those, walks like a duck, talks like a duck. He's out here preaching about how to get to the NFL. He made a meteoric rise to become an NFL head coach. He's going to help some of these guys make a meteoric rise to become NFL players, I think. And, like, I'm getting chills talking about it right now.
How many times have those guys talked about the two things that Matt Rule has brought up many times? Get 1% better every day and stacking days.
Yeah.
You will hear those players constantly say one of those two things or both.
Well, and they're always
every time they talk.
They're always referencing accountability. Mm-hmm. They're always referencing leadership and not leading by being not barking about I'm a leader, but just being that guy.
Yep.
Being exactly what you want to be.
I said on our last show about when I said MJ Sherman is a dude, and I said not just because he's a player, but because he's a leader.
Yeah.
And with what he did in that post-game press conference and the stuff that he said, talking about the off-season stuff, he said now the work starts with the player-led situation.
And he gets thrown a curveball like Jeff Sims is waiting off stage about to come on and follow you in a press conference. What's it like to try and go after Jeff Sims in the backfield? And he took a beat. He was like, I'm gonna take a second. But he broke it down analytically. Mm-hmm. He's not if he just says hello to you, he kind of has that like Southern football player drawl. Like I said it in the text message. I was like, you know, if you just said one sentence, you'd think the next sentence come out of his mouth would be the football. Like he just kind of has that sound about him. But then he goes on and he talks about all this stuff, and I'm like, dude, this is like he uncovered a golden gem here. Like, this is crazy.
Well, and he's a teddy bear too, because he's
He's like, I love kids.
Big, that's what I was gonna say.
He's out there. He's like,
this big giant
the best part
6'3",
about that
250-pound dude who just likes to smash people, and he's like, I just love kids.
He's like, the best part about Saturday was all the kids that were out there. They, just being an example for them. I was like, that is so fucking cool.
He talked about how happy he was just getting reps and an opportunity and everything else. And apparently, one of my buddies said that they saw this, that his sister tweeted out saying,
I retweeted it.
I've never seen my brother this happy.
It was a thank you to Coach Rule.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was just, it's stuff like
You're
that.
the light at the end of the tunnel, I think.
But you get stud players that transfer in from a place like Georgia that stands in front of a microphone and says, basically, if you come here, you'll get opportunity. You'll get reps.
I've been on that national championship team. I came over here and I'm happier now.
Yeah. I mean,
that's crazy.
That should be like on a billboard somewhere. Like, you should just... That's the new ad campaign for Nebraska football. I came here and I'm happier than I was at a 2-time national championship team.
Like, no kidding.
I got 2 rings, though.
I mean, of course.
My hand's heavy enough. I'll go.
Yeah.
We can, state the obvious and say the reason why is because there's 75 MJ Shermans on Georgia's team and there's 6 on ours.
There's enough that they just lost their best starting.
No, he wasn't a starter, but
they said he started 11 games last year.
No, he did not. Bear Alexander, no.
All right.
He's a good player, but
anyway, doesn't matter. They lost another one. It was interesting, but I didn't realize.
And if they really wanted to keep him, they would have ponied up the money to keep him. But
I also didn't realize their defensive line coach that went out to USC.
I don't know.
It was something about him following the coach. That's why he went out
he
there.
followed the money. He's not following a coach. It's just like Jordan Addison when he left Pittsburgh to go to USC.
I can't imagine USC has any more money than Georgia does.
That's my point. If Georgia really wanted to keep him, they would have paid him more to stay.
That's what happens when you got a stable of 5 stars.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, what happens when you win back-to-back natties?
You also have a scenario where Bear Alexander went to like 5 different high schools in 4 years. Maybe it's also him.
It could be. But this also, like this, and not to get off topic because we haven't even gotten into the offense stuff, but this is kind of what I was talking about. Kind of what I was talking about with the NIL. Is it really going to be that bad? Because it's going to create some more parity. It's going to take those schools like Alabama and Georgia that it just has stockpiled 5-star talent, where dudes know they could go get more money because there's only so much that's going to go around at these schools, regardless of how freaking awesome you are. If you're not on the field enough to justify you getting paid these advertising dollars and this NIL money, it's not gonna happen. They're not gonna pay the 3rd string 5-star defensive freshman at Georgia the same as they're gonna pay the starters at Nebraska. It's not gonna happen. So you're gonna see those guys wanting to go other places, and I think that's going to be helpful. You've already seen what's his name that left and went to Florida State. Or there was a flipped number 1 tight end commit, flipped from Georgia to Florida State. Why is he going to Florida State? Florida State's been shit for a long time.
No, they were good last year.
I mean,
they're on the
good's
rise.
relative.
They're
it's not national championship.
They're actually going to be really fucking good this year.
Well, either way, it might
be my pick to win the ACC.
I just think it's nice to see some of that spread out a little bit.
Yeah, and it will. It's just going to get more and more, but that's the way the money goes. So,
what positives did you have about the offense? Because it was pretty easy to point out. We had I stopped counting at 6 turnovers.
Well, there was 8 fumbles.
Yeah, 8 total
7
fumbles
because the 1 fumble, the 7, one of the fumbles was the Heinrich Harburg, which would have been an incomplete pass if they would have reviewed it, but rules just like let's just move on. So there was 8 fumbles. I would say only because I have something to compare it to with the previous week's scrimmage. Jeff Sims was a surprise because he didn't look very good in the previous scrimmage.
Yeah, you said that. His timing
he didn't look terrible,
his
but he
ball
just didn't
placement
look
looked good.
Yeah.
He just also didn't, like I said, he didn't have very much time to throw the ball.
I thought he looked pretty accurate, and goddamn is he a big boy.
He's big.
I love watching him truck people.
Mm-hmm.
The move that he made to get in the end zone from like the 9-yard line.
Yep.
And he was specifically asked about that in the post-game press conference and said, nope, that was not a called play, but I saw it and I had to take it.
No, he said it was a called run.
I thought he said, no, it wasn't, but I saw it and I had to go.
I thought he said he was.
I'll have to go back and look at
Definitely said one of the two things.
it. Those are the options. But I don't know.
I thought Ramir Johnson ran pretty hard.
He did, but he looked slow. He looked slow.
I don't think.
I thought he looked slow. He got swarmed up on when he.
But I think that was the defense. The defense was fucking fast.
We're going to
true.
call this
It's true.
Too Excited to Focus show this week.
I don't really have a whole lot of positives on the offense because I don't think that they played very good.
Billy Kemp. I think Billy Kemp's going to be the guy this year.
I guess I'm saying I don't have any more positives because I think Billy Kemp was who I thought he was.
Yeah.
So that's not really a surprise or whatever else. I mean, he's probably going to be our leading receiver.
I was surprised to see him
not
back
much of a
catching
surprise.
punts. I was surprised to see that.
I think they were letting anybody who wanted
they
to
were
go
just-
back there.
Yeah, that the special team stuff outside of kicking, that was just, hey, somebody go out and stand there. That was nothing to lay your hat on.
Why wouldn't they be practicing the guys they want to use, though?
Because they weren't doing kick returns. Because they were doing the
that's fair.
XFL-style kick returns, which aren't going to be a thing in college.
True.
So,
They should be.
but I agree. But
I've been saying that since the first XFL game I watched. I was like, damn, that's a great idea.
I agree.
And guess what? It makes the kickoff actually more exciting.
But
in
I
my
mean-
opinion.
But that's why I'm saying what they did in the spring game, you can't glean anything from what they did in kick returns because that's not the style of kick returns that they're going to have during the season. So whatever, who the hell cares who was back there catching those?
Sure.
They got
Kickers
much more.
look like shit.
Yeah, they looked really bad in the scrimmage previous to that too. They
What the fuck? They
It
were
was-
better last year.
yeah. Well, I mean, Bleak Road struggled at the beginning of the season last year, and then he got better as the season went on. And I mean, and that can go to my answer to the question of newcomers that need to be or will be big impact players. I, of course, did 3 because I always can never just pick one. And I ranked them. My number 3 guy, and I only did not say MJ Sherman because to me that's an obvious
He knew
one.
I was going to.
Yeah, we all knew that you were going to sit here and cream for 5 minutes. So
So, I mean, if I had to do it legitimately, I'd probably have MJ Sherman. Still not number 1, but on my top 3. My third guy is Prince Will.
Is this need to or will?
I think my number 1 is need to. My other 2 are will. Prince Will, just the way that he played, having 3 tackles for loss in the first half. I mean,
I agree. He was up there. He's probably my
Wow.
second favorite standout on defense.
another guy that probably both need to and will is Elijah Judy. He played a lot more and a lot better than I expected, considering I talked about how he limped off the field really badly at the scrimmage.
he had a lot of reps.
He played a ton, and he played really well. We need that big body in the middle.
Yeah.
Yep.
And then number 1, I think with a bullet, considering our kicking game, is the West Side kicker, Alvano. We have to have a field goal kicker.
We have to.
If we're not going to finish drives and get in the end zone, like we didn't in the spring game, and again, that doesn't mean everything's whatever, we need to make field goals. We need to score points. And having Alvano come in is going to be a huge need for us because we can't come up empty on these drives.
Yep.
No, I agree with you 100%. When I said earlier, I was like, this is going to be 2 different people for me. The need to was going to be the kicker as well, just because we have to have consistency back there. We've seen what it does for 4 straight years now of not. I mean, last year was better.
Yeah.
But was it good? It probably felt good because it had been so atrociously bad the previous 2 or 3 years.
Well, that 1 year, a handful of years ago, when we had like 4 or 5 different
We were bringing
kickers.
in 5 soccer players by the end of the season to just see if we could get anybody to put one through the uprights. But, I mean, that's neither here nor there. We won't know until he gets on campus. He's not even on campus yet, is he? He's finishing his senior year at Westside.
He was down at the game, but he obviously wasn't playing.
And he can't go through practice.
No.
They have to actually be enrolled to practice, don't
yes,
they?
Yes.
That's what I thought. I don't know. I didn't have anything else about that game other than the post-game press conference. Oh, I did want to say Gabe Ervin looks good. He didn't have any big bust-away plays at all. I actually kind of felt like he didn't get that much opportunity. But that dude looks beastly.
He looks big. I mean, can he stay healthy for a year? He hasn't yet, so that's why I said I like the fact that we have the 4 running backs. If needed, I think any of the 4 could.
Well, AJ Allen last year showed that he can be electric.
A lot of people say that Ramir couldn't be a bell cow, but I mean, 2 years ago he was our bell cow.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not saying that he's a guy that you ideally want as a bell cow, because even though he gained about 10 pounds during the offseason this year, he's still not your ideal size of a guy that to be a bell cow. But he showed that at least he's tough enough to be able to. So I'm not really worried if 1 or 2 of those guys get injured, because I think we got guys.
Yeah.
At least at the running back spot. Now, can the offensive line block for him? All those things. We'll see. But
do you think that score was pretty accurate for what we saw on Saturday?
For the way that you continue to phrase that, yes, because what we saw on Saturday was very sloppy, and seeing a 21-7 game with no points in the second half, yeah, that fits it pretty well, because it was sloppy as hell.
Well, and it really looked like
eight turnovers is sloppy.
Yeah. Well, not 8 turnovers, just 8 fumbles. We didn't lose them all.
Whatever. You put the ball on the ground 8 times.
I know.
8 fucking times.
Well, I guess you got to also add the interception, so I guess there was another turnover, but that was also the 3 seconds left.
Yeah.
That was whatever.
I will say I saw it from Ben Scott. I also saw it from whoever was playing center on the second team. There was some shaky snaps in there.
Really high snaps.
Well, and a couple
Specifically out of Ben
that
Scott.
went a little sideways.
Well, they had 3 different centers do snaps.
Okay.
So
I know the
was
one that
a lot
I'm
of rotation
specifically
there.
referencing, Ben Scott. Jeff Sims was in the game.
He was snapping to Jeff Sims the whole time, right?
I remember he snapped it about a foot right of where Jeff Sims was looking for the ball, and his head happened to be up, and that was one that Sims missed. He barely got his hand under the bottom of it, so it kind of just fell on the ground right next to him, and he scooped it up, and I think he actually got tackled for a loss on that. But either way, those types of things, those need to get cleaned up. Well, that's a little nerve-wracking.
And Damon Benning talked about this morning, about most of the fumbles. I think he said like 5 of the fumbles were more about timing. And that's something that they can get down
It'll get cleaned up
with repetition. Whether it's not being used to playing under center for most of these quarterbacks.
And they've all been rotating so much with playing with different guys.
Mm-hmm.
They're not, especially quarterback putting it in the pocket of a running back coming out of the backfield.
Not just not playing under center, but not being used to having a fullback be right there as well.
That was another thing I was going to mention was the playing under center.
Yeah.
We were probably at least 40% of the time they were taking snaps under center. I like that. I like that a lot.
And I think Chubba Purdy played pretty well for the situation that he was in.
Pretty well, yeah.
Yeah.
I think he looked like he was playing about how he did last year.
Yeah.
In my opinion.
No, he actually could complete a pass.
A pass.
He completed 2 or 3, I think.
Okay.
But if you remember last year, I don't know if he was battling a shoulder or hand injury or something, but it was like that dude could not. He was 80% off, or he was 20% off. He was hitting the ground right in front of everybody every time he threw the ball. It didn't matter if he was getting pressured, nothing. He was always just a little bit short of.
I thought it looked like he overcorrected. I thought he was aiming way too high, and he missed high quite a bit.
Maybe he's trying for that right now. I don't know, but it looked different. He actually looked serviceable. I didn't think any of them, including Jeff Sims, looked like they didn't get me excited. Nobody got me excited about anything.
So speaking of quarterbacks,
That's what I was going to bring up. Go ahead.
how many do you guys think we have at the start of the season?
On scholarship or total?
Total. Aren't they all on scholarship right now?
No, not all. We have a couple of
Harburg's not
guys.
on.
Harburg's a scholarship guy.
I thought he was a
I
walk-on
thought we
guy.
had
No.
6 or 7 QBs on scholarship.
We have 6.
Okay. We're not going to have 6 at the start of the season.
No.
So
I would guess 4.
who the fuck's leaving?
Well, that was mainly the question because, I mean, so the 6 guys, you have Richard Torres, Chubba Purdy, Heinrich Harburg, Logan Smothers, Jeff Sims, Casey Thompson.
And 5 of them have roughly the same play style.
Well, I think the first thing that you can ask is which one of these things is not like the other. Torres doesn't fit the mold of any of the rest of them. So I
He's
think
got a good arm.
He's got a good arm.
He can't run.
He's one-dimensional.
And I think you need to be two-dimensional, at least reasonably so, in order to be effective in this offense. I think Torres is gone. There's other places he could go play at Iowa or
Especially
Minnesota and be effective.
Why would you punish him like that? What did he do to you?
He might be more effective there than fucking anybody else. Who knows?
A guy like that,
because
you
Iowa
have
throws
to
the
have
ball around all the time.
A guy like that, you have to have a very solid
Just
offensive
going
line.
for those pro-style offenses.
You have to have a solid offensive line, and we don't have that yet.
Yeah.
So, and maybe we'll solidify that before
That's
fall,
also just
but
not the style of offense that Satterfield runs.
Yeah.
So that's never going to be a thing here. So I think you could count him gone.
So
Honestly, unless Smothers gets healthy and is all of a sudden really, really electric, I think you could count him gone because it seems like Heinrich Harburg has got a special place in somebody's heart.
Well, that's what I was going to ask. Do you think because when Rule and Satterfield first got here, they talked about how they sat down with all the players, but they had the conversation with Harburg about switching positions. And after the conversation, they said that they're going to keep him at quarterback.
But he offered.
Yeah.
He said, "You want to move me? Move me. I want to be here."
So do you think he stays at quarterback? Because he looked like shit. He
I
can
didn't
run.
think he looked like shit.
Okay, as a quarterback, I think he looked like shit.
Like I said, they all kind of looked like shit that day.
I think Jeff Sims looked fine, but
he couldn't throw the ball to save his life.
great. He's athletic. He can run.
He is.
But they're all
I did
athletic.
like-
They can all run outside of doors.
I liked on the broadcast, they referenced him as being like a Taysom Hill type.
Yeah.
You're not going to play him every down, but you could bring him in special packages, things like that. I could see that. My thing is, though, I think that's Jeff Sims when Casey Thompson wins the starting job.
I'm not 100% sold Casey Thompson's going to win the starting job.
And either way, I see both of
tell.
them getting far more play time than anybody else on quarterback.
Yeah. But I want to go back to what he just said, because that's a different tone than what I've heard from him previously.
Basically, the question is, how much are they going to rely on quarterback run game? Because if they are, then it's Jeff Sims. Not that Casey Thompson cannot run, but you want a dynamic guy like Jeff Sims.
He's not running over people.
No.
He's not running over people, but if you looked at...
And also, when you have a guy like MJ Sherman standing in front of a podium and says, Jeff Sims makes me a better player.
Oh, yeah. No, that's true.
That's going to carry some weight.
And he talked about schematically what the defense has to be doing properly in order to contain a guy like him.
That's going to carry some weight.
But here's the other thing for me. I look at Jeff Sims, and he's a very cut dude. He also looks smaller than what I thought he looked like in a lot of his pictures coming in. Like, he looked smaller on the field. He looked smaller at the podium than he did than he looked in his Georgia stuff or his Georgia Tech stuff. But there was one moment where he walked up. It looks like him and Casey have a pretty good relationship brewing.
Yeah.
They were always right next to each other on the sideline. And he walked up next to Casey, and I was actually shocked at how big Casey looked standing next to him. They looked similarly sized. And Jeff Sims is like 3 inches taller than him, isn't he?
Yeah, Jeff Sims is 6'4", 220, and Casey Thompson's 6 foot 195.
Yeah. I mean, that's a big difference on paper.
Yeah.
But standing next to each other, he did not look that much smaller than Jeff Sims. And if Casey Thompson's able to run the ball the way that his dad has proclaimed in the offseason that he used to be a running quarterback and they turned him into a pocket passer. Like, if he's able to actually do that, and we saw flashes of that a couple different times last year.
Casey Thompson's not immobile. He's
Yeah.
just not Jeff Sims.
Yeah, I don't know.
Also, I think you're smoking something. There's a size difference there.
Big size.
It's gonna be. I'll go find the. I'll go rewatch it. I put it on the.
Maybe the
DVR.
camera was at a weird angle because
It might have been. I don't know.
30 pounds is a big difference.
That is a big difference.
And 4 inches.
And
4
Casey
inches.
Thompson
That's what
was
she
in
said.
sideline sweat gear. I get that. Like, I'm not.
Just 30 pounds and 4 inches?
Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
Calm down, Wood.
That's why I limped in here.
So just so we're
Now
clear,
I'm confused.
you guys think we're going to have 4 scholarship quarterbacks going into the season?
I mean, yeah. I could see 5, to be completely honest, but
That still feels like a lot.
I guess
We're
I
not gonna have
wonder.
6.
I wonder how committed. I wonder how committed they are to keeping more than 4. I mean, you've got Purdy, who's already transferred once. He's shown that if he's not going to get a starting opportunity in a system that works for him, he's going to transfer.
Well, I got news for him. He's not going to get a starting opopportunity.
No.
Unless something really bad happens.
And especially when your brother was third string and just got turned into the new franchise, faced the franchise quarterback in San Francisco, you want that. Like, he's probably hungering now more than ever for that opportunity to show what he can do.
Yeah, but sometimes when you have a superstar brother, it doesn't always turn out for you, like Luke McCaffrey.
Yeah. As soon as you started that sentence, I knew who you were going for.
You can say that you're a quarterback all you
And
want
he's
to, but
headed to 15th team in 5 years or something like
is
that.
he transferring again?
I'm joking. I have no idea. I have not followed that kid.
He had a good season at Rice.
Sure.
I'm just saying. He did.
That's not a thing I've ever heard. He had a good season at Rice. Fuck off.
There was a really good wide receiver for the NFL a couple of years that played at Rice. I can't think of what his name is, so that's how
It
good he
wasn't
was, but
Jerry.
No.
Have we had any notable people enter the transfer portal?
No.
Colorado has.
Colorado.
Jesus
yeah, I don't-
Christ.
A lot.
Another 30 players entered the transfer portal after their scrimmage.
Yeah.
Everybody's framing that as Dion shaping the team and making it as he wants it. It
He is,
kind of
but
sounds like
you know
bullshit.
What? The player that made the best catch in that whole game over top of a dude, Randy Moss, a dude that was 4 inches taller than him,
He's going.
entered the transfer portal.
Yep.
He's also the number 1 target in that game. So I'm sorry, but you see a guy like that leave a program who's the favorite target of your son,
Yep.
you got a culture issue.
Well,
And I don't think you can have that much turnover in a system, period. I realize you're coming in with a new system and a whole new coaching staff, but you have that much turnover, just brand new people working together.
I don't care who you think you're bringing in, and I say think you're bringing in because Dion says constantly, oh, we got all these guys lined up. No, you don't. I don't care who you think you're bringing in. You have that kind of turnover, you're not going to be successful, at least in this first year.
Especially when it's all
No.
competition. You got to win. You got to win that starting job, but then you're handpicking it to your son, who you cherry picked for the starting quarterback job. Only the most important job on the field.
Yeah. Whatever.
I don't know. He's doing a lot of hypocritical shit out there, and it is what it is. I love the fact that he showed up in it was black and gold, but it was a Prime jacket, not even a Colorado jacket, on the sideline.
It's all about him.
I didn't see, other than his press pass, or not press pass, but like whatever lanyard thing that he was wearing, I didn't see anything that had Colorado Buffalo emblems on it or of any sort on him.
Because it's all about Prime 21. That's all it is.
It's crazy.
it's gonna be fun to watch.
Whatever. They're gonna make their money for 2 or 3 years, and he'll probably win a handful of games and on to the next one.
Yep. Matt, did you have any newcomers that you're looking at that you think are gonna?
Well, okay. So yes, obviously the kicker was my biggest one, just because we can't fucking miss those anymore this year.
No.
But I don't think you guys realize how hard I am on Billy Kemp. I think he's going to have half of our catches this fucking year, and I think he's going to need to. So
Absolutely.
he was my biggest guy.
Half our catches?
I bet it'll be close to half.
Well, I said he's gonna lead our team in receptions.
Do you think he gets close to 1,000 yards?
He's not a yards
It's
guy.
going to be 5 or 10 yards at a time.
He's get a shit ton of catches guy.
You know what he did show, though? He showed some yak on Saturday. He was the only dude that didn't
fucking
catch a
hit
ball
some
and
people.
instantly get leveled.
But even his career in Virginia, he had a lot of catches, but his yards per catch wasn't necessarily that high.
I will say he looks chippy enough that he could get some yards after the catch.
Yeah.
I think especially if he gets some help downfield, but
He definitely reminds
maybe
me of a
just-
Julian Edelman type.
Maybe the guys on TV actually are the ones that I thought had the best comparison, and I knew you were going to say Julian Edelman after I said this guy or before or whatever. They compared him to Cole Beasley, and that to me that's a perfect comparison.
A poor man's Julian Edelman.
Yeah, no. So he's probably my biggest guy.
I mean, just by math, he might have the most receiving yards because if you have the most catches, you're probably going to get a lot of yards.
Yeah.
But
I mean, that depends. If we've got a speedster that only catches 1 or 2 a game, but they all go for 30 or 40.
I sure fucking hope we have
that
somebody
doesn't
like
happen
that, though,
every
because
game,
that'll
True.
open up the field for him, too.
Yes,
true.
That'll open up the field for all the running backs. We need somebody who can get down the field.
And that's going back to towards the beginning of this when we were jumping around like crazy, the question about wide receiver, like who's going to step up. Of course, we have a couple of freshmen that are incoming with Malachi Coleman, and then those two.
I didn't even see him out there. Was he out there?
Because he's not
enrolled yet.
No.
Right.
That's why I said the incoming freshman. The other kid from the 2 Olympic sprinter guys.
Are they going to be
Texas
expected
and
to
Jersey and
play
Texas?
this first
Yeah.
year?
What?
Are they going to both be expected to play this first year?
Well, we might
I
need
don't know
them.
how Malachi couldn't.
We might
with the
have to
size
have
and
them play
speed of
because
him.
we don't have any other guys. I mean, the room is heavy, but it's
low end heavy.
yes. There's a lot of guys. The options are there, but
It's heavy on the low note.
This is like a big butts or what?
Got a big bottom girl type of room out there.
So yeah, he's probably
is
my
feeling
number
happy.
one, just because we're going to need him.
yeah.
Do we see? I know Fleeks was in there to catch a couple different kicks. Did he get on the field at all?
He did have one catch.
Did he? Okay.
Yeah. I mean, he could be one of our deep threat guys, but he doesn't really have. He has the experience in years, but he doesn't.
He has a
didn't play
bunch of
much.
years with no time on the field.
Exactly.
Slightly
Which is
concerned.
not. Yeah, that's not a good feeling.
Yeah, I will. One guy and I don't know how close we are to wrapping this up, but I did want to at least say his name, a newcomer that I don't know how much playing time he's going to get this year because of how loaded the secondary is, but he played really well in the spring game, and that's the incoming freshman who is a early enrollee, that's Sincere Safuela, or I don't know how to pronounce his last name, but he had a couple of really good plays in the second half of the spring game. I mean, if he can continue to develop and what he showed out in the spring game, I mean, cool. Like that's another guy that at least deserves a mention.
Well, I think continuing to develop is going to be a big key for a lot of these guys.
Yes.
I think
That's what I was just going to ask
Rule
about.
play his game.
I was just going to ask about Corey Collier and Chief Borders coming out of Florida. Did you see?
Chief Borders played good.
I mean, I didn't.
Corey Collier was out there. He was chasing a lot.
I didn't notice them much. So that's one of the things for me, like for the spring game. If you stand out, you stand out. And if you don't, you kind of just blend it, especially with half those jerseys not even having names on them.
Yep. Corey Collier stood out because he has a lot of hair covering up his name and his number. So he stood out for that reason.
All right, now I'm kind of getting an image of who you're talking about because I didn't identify him on the field.
Yeah.
I didn't. I don't know. I don't really have anything else about this game other than it got me. It curbed my excitement a little bit. It didn't get me bummed. I was about to say it got me bummed. It didn't get me bummed, but I didn't get the feel goods out of it that I expected. But then again, it's a spring game.
Yes.
I don't remember the last time I got feel goods out of a spring game since like Taylor Martinez.
I was going to say it's been a few coaches probably.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It didn't make me feel all tingly, but at the same time, it doesn't like lower, how I ended our last show about, the days of us being a joke are over. Because that was more long-term than short-term. The way I felt coming off the spring game is more short-term than long-term because I still have faith in the long-term aspect of this with this coaching staff and everything else. I was pretty set on 6 wins still for the season. Maybe if I had to, leaning maybe possibly 7. After the spring game, I'm probably 6, and if I had to lean a different way, it'd be 5.
Really?
But
Just because you think our offense is not.
our offense is a long way to go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I will say, one of the biggest things that I got was that it looks like the whole team is putting in the work.
Absolutely.
One thing I forgot to mention, actually, the comp that I had for Jeff Sims that came to my mind was Adrian Martinez.
I've said that from.
He kind of had that.
I've told you guys that.
Kind of had that
countless
look.
times.
He had a little bit of that smoothness that Adrian had, and the run that he made to when he sidestepped those two dudes that were tackling him on like the 4-yard line and got into the end zone reminded me kind of some things we saw early in Adrian Martinez's career when he was still playing free before he got hurt 15,000 times.
Yeah, and was a head case.
My comparison with Adrian Martinez was more big picture before Jeff Sims came here. I said he reminds me of Adrian Martinez where he had a really good freshman season. Everybody's
I remember you saying that.
Everybody's like, oh, if he continues on this trajectory, he's going to be amazing. And then it just didn't. And again, I've said it 1,000 times, whether at Georgia Tech, and hell, you could say that about Adrian Martinez here, whether that was coaching or the players around him, who knows? Adrian Martinez played pretty well in a different scenario this last year. Hopefully Jeff Sims can do the same when he changes scenery as well.
That'd be fucking nice. That'd be real fucking nice. Yeah. I'd be really happy with Casey Thompson being a backup. But I also think if the writing's on the wall that he's not going to get that job, I think he's gone.
Yeah, but again...
He's not going to go anywhere.
First of all, NIL, he's not going to make the money somewhere else. He's not going to make high six figures like he does here anywhere else. Also, it'll be his second transfer, so he'll have to get a waiver to be able to play. He'll have to prove that there's
I didn't think they had to do that if it was their 6th year.
Well, I guess he would be a graduate transfer, so I guess never mind.
Yeah, he's a master's graduate transfer.
Right. I'm sorry. I was also thinking of guys like Chubba Purdy, possibly transferring.
Oh,
he's not going to go anywhere anytime soon because of that. Well, unless he wants to sit out a year, I guess.
I was going to say he might redshirt this year.
Well, he already redshirted down at Florida State.
Or not, you know what I mean? Not redshirt, but sit out. Yeah. Whatever. I don't know.
I don't see him going anywhere. I
really don't either. I don't think it's
difference.
Impossible, but I don't see him going anywhere.
I don't think there's such a difference between the two that he's going to be like, oh, I'm fucking beat. I'm going to go and get out of here. I don't think they're going to define a clear QB1. He's going to get chances to play. He's going to want to prove himself.
Well, and again, Jeff Sims the last 2 years
back to go start anywhere else.
Jeff Sims the last 2 years got injured. If Jeff Sims wins the job, hell, even
that's true.
Even vice versa, Casey Thompson gets injured, so Jeff Sims could play. Like you're Jeff Sims running the ball. You're one turned ankle away from getting on the field.
Now you got Chubba Purdy out here salivating.
Yeah. So I mean,
oh boy.
By the way, real quickly back to Colorado. Did you see who Colorado offered? They offered Nebraska's old wide receiver Alante Brown, who hit the transfer portal.
I did not see that.
So we could play two of our former wide receivers with Dakotas Crawford and Alante Brown.
Hell yeah.
So pretty much
beat
just
them back to back.
Anyway.
Don't we play La Tech the week after Colorado?
I think we played Northern Illinois first and then La Tech.
I thought we played Michigan week 4.
Nope, they're week 5.
Week 5, yeah.
Okay.
We play them in week 4.
Speaking of scheduling,
that's because we have a week 0.
When I was watching the Minnesota game, they showed their schedule. Minnesota might not win 5 games this year. They have to play everyone hard from the Big Ten.
So I will say I read 2 different articles this weekend that had projections of every Big Ten team. And they actually had Minnesota as one of the 3 teams that could win the division at 8. They had them at 8 wins.
I don't know how the fuck they're going to come up with that. They're playing North Carolina out of conference.
Yeah.
And then they're also playing Ohio State, Michigan State, Michigan.
Yep.
Maryland,
Michigan State's not going to be that good.
Maryland, Illinois, us, which I'm not counting us as one of the scary teams in the Big Ten right now.
Schedule looks.
But just off the top of my head, I'm remembering that, and I was like, I'm counting them as I'm going through. I'm like, they better be far improved from what they were last year. They're going to shit the bed.
Yeah,
and their spring practice didn't look great, but you can't really tell anything when you're the cameraman's 10 feet away from the action, and you're looking at it on field level.
But the other interesting part of again, they did every team. They had Nebraska, and one of them had Nebraska starting 0-2 and still winning, I think, 7 games. It's like, how do you have?
There's a lot of people that think Colorado's going to come out and challenge for the Pac-12 this year.
Yeah, that's dumb.
I don't see it. Yes, you have amassed a very talented coaching staff. That's a talented coaching staff. Nobody can deny that.
Half your team's going to be new.
You've got a lot of high-end, talented new guys coming in, but everything, including all the players, is fucking brand new.
And you also have 4 really, really good established teams in the Pac-12.
Yeah.
Established teams. So good luck going year one.
You have to play
up against those
TCU
guys.
week 1, and then you have to play Nebraska, who is also trying to claw its way out of irrelevance.
Mm-hmm.
Come on now.
But we're clawing from a different spot. We didn't just have 16 players leave or however many they
Well,
just
and we
had
also
leave.
didn't come off, and as bad as we might have been, we also didn't come off as being the worst Power 5 team in the entire country last year, like Colorado was.
They also, and so maybe flushing it is a good idea, but out of 85 players they had on scholarship last year, they have 21 left.
Yeah.
That's insane. That's not even enough for both sides of the ball. That's crazy.
Is that how math
That's
works?
math.
It is math.
Not it's science, it's math.
Quick maths.
That's all I got.
Yep, I'm good.
Couple shows we got coming up. I was talking to a couple different people doing some other guest stuff this week. Want to do a gambling show, just like a full breakdown,
I'm not a gambler.
sports gambling.
You can talk about it, but I won't understand half of it.
It's all right. It's all right.
Just telling you.
Thinking Bassino and Wicks in here. Be a good time. Thinking doing that. How soon are we going to start doing our?
I want to do that.
Breakdowns.
I want to do that schedule show too. How we think that the schedule is going to break down, and what do we want it to be?
Well, I was going to say, do we want to do a bunch of individual shows and individually break down each team? Give each team like 15 minutes, or do like 3 on a show.
Do we want to do this brainstorming on the show like we are?
Yeah, I
right
think we
now?
should.
No, I
Let us know what you think, folks.
What does everybody else think?
All right, talk to you next time.
And this may be the most unbelievable night in Cornhusker football history.